Hey, hi everybody. I've got a great song for you today. I hope you like listening to it as much as I enjoy playing it. This one is called Poncho and Lefty, and we'll talk about this song when we get on the back side of it. So, okay, with that, let's get her going. Living on the road, my friend, is gonna keep you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron, your breath as hard as kerosene. You weren't your mama's only boy, but her favorite one, it seems. She began to cry when you said goodbye. To your dreams. Poncho was a bandit boy. His horses fast, his tall age steel. He wore his gun outside his pants for all the honest world to feel. Poncho met his match, you know, on the deserts down in Mexico. Nobody heard his dying words. Oh, that's the way it goes. All the federales say they could have had him any day. They only let him slip away. Out of kindness, I suppose. Poncho is down south, ended up in Lefty's mouth. The day they laid poor Poncho low, Lefty hit for Ohio, where he got the bread to go. There ain't nobody knows. All the federales say and Lefty's living in cheap hotels. The desert's quiet, Cleveland's cold, and so the story ends, we're told. Poncho needs your prayers, it's true, but save a few for Lefty too. He only did what he had to do, and now he's growing old. Say they could have had him any day. They only let him grow so long. Out of kindness, I suppose.
Okay, there we go, Poncho and Lefty. This song was originally written by a guy by the name of Townes Van Zandt, and he was a country western singer here in Texas. Didn't gain national fame too much, except for this song, and he didn't gain the fame with this song until it was done about 10 years later by Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard. However, the song has been recorded by other people, and it was recorded once by Emmylou Harris. That was in 1978, and it was recorded also most recently by Ashley Campbell. That's Glenn Campbell's daughter. So it has been recorded by a few people. I just find this to be a fascinating song. Number one, because living down here in El Paso like we do, Poncho Villa had an effect on this area like you wouldn't believe, okay? This happened during the Mexican Revolution, and we first know that Poncho Villa before that had been trying to get land reform down in Chihuahua. That's the state that's just south of us in Mexico, which includes Juarez and the town of Chihuahua, and it's a large state. Anyway, he was trying to get land reform because the Mexican government has basically followed through with a system that was based on feudalism from Europe, with their haciendas, and that meant a very few people owned all of the land and all of the resources behind it, okay? And everybody would work for these landowners, whether they had a small farm or not. The farms were handled through sharecropping, and so basically the landowners just were quite wealthy. However, the poor people were just barely getting by. And Poncho Villa was trying to make changes to that whole system. That's what's got him going. Some people consider him to be a hero. Other people consider him to be nothing more than a bandito. Because to do that, he needed the resources himself, or at least he thought he did. And so he went out and took them. And he took them primarily from the landowners. And that's where he ended up getting firearms and things of that nature, and finances to carry through with his projects. He became so popular with the local population that in 1910 he was elected as the governor of the state of Chihuahua. And as governor, he really pushed towards land reform in that particular state in Mexico. And he also joined forces with other forces who were going against the then president of Mexico, a guy by the name of Porfirio Diaz. And so he joined forces with those folks, and literally the whole group ended up throwing over the presidency of Mexico at that time and installing a new president. However, Poncho Villa continued to be in trouble because the new people in charge did not carry through with his mission of land reform and land ownership reform. And so he started fighting them as well. And to do that, once again, he needed goods and services for them. And so he started this time crossing the border into the United States and stealing from the United States military. He went initially to Columbus, New Mexico, had a big raid there, ended up with a lot of guns, and while he was down there he took a few other things like money and goods and things of that nature. And then he also ended up going here in El Paso, made a couple raids up in here to military establishments and received firearms by doing so. And another one downstream from us in a town called Fort Hancock, which was a military garrison at that time. He got some more firearms at that time. Up to that point, he'd almost been seen as a Robin Hood here in Mexico by people in the United States. But once this started, that changed everything. And so anyway, the U.S. government sent down General Pershing, and General Pershing came and stayed at Fort Bliss here in El Paso and started chasing after Poncho Villa. And that's what leads to a story I have from when I was a young child. Because my parents used to have a berry farm in Puyallup, Washington, where I was raised. And they hired this old couple, the Mitchners, and Dan Mitchner told us this one time that he had ridden with General Pershing against Poncho Villa. Now, he had not ridden as a soldier. He's too young for that. He was only 14 or 15 at the time. But Pershing used people like that to go out on scouting missions and to try to sight where Poncho Villa might be, and then they'd send the military troops in. And the military troops at that time just crossed the border whenever, however they felt like. And that did not make them very popular, number one, with the people in Mexico, but also did not make them very popular with the government of Mexico as well. Anyway, the bottom line is Poncho Villa continued his activity throughout most of the rest of his life, and it wasn't always so in the warfare type things, but he kept trying to push towards land reform, and ultimately his enemies in the Mexican government saw to it that he was assassinated, and so they had a plot and they did assassinate him in 1923. And well, so much for Poncho Villa. But the stories behind him remained with the population down there, and we still have stories here in the United States, especially this area, about Poncho Villa because of his activities, whether you're for or against him. He was definitely a colorful character. So with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed this song, and we'll see you next month, hopefully, when I come back with something else. So until then, bye-bye.